Good morning and welcome. Today is Sunday. It is the 25th day of Nisan. We're going to learn the shir of yesterday, Shabbos, the 24th of Nisan, and today's shir. And we begin chapter 42 in the Tanya. Let's begin with tzedakah. Gedola tzedakah, shemekareves es hageula. Tzedakah brings Mashiach closer. So we're going to learn today, very interesting question we asked. You know, Chasidim always look up at the Rebbe, at the tzaddik, the holy man. People gaze at the Rebbe. And they say Chasidim never tire from gazing at the Rebbe. And the question is why? The Rebbe is, of course, a human being. And what we are going to learn in Tanya, in today's chapter, about the spark of the neshama of Moses that is in those special tzaddikim. And they help us connecting to Hashem. So let's begin. We'll begin chapter 42. Says the Alter Rebbe, Vehine, Mashen is by Le'el, Be'inyan Yirat HaTorah, in light of what has already been said on the subject of the lower level of fear, as summarized above, we will understand an interesting paragraph in the Talmud, a quote from the Talmud. So we learned in the last chapter, we learned about the importance of serving God with love and fear. It is not enough to serve God just doing the mitzvahs. The love and fear helps us to elevate, and we spoke about the different levels of love, the different levels of fear of Hashem. There is the fear of Hashem, of understanding the greatness of Hashem, and there is the lower level of fear of Hashem, at least contemplating that God is watching every part of every movement, what we do, and just like we follow the orders of the king. We don't want to be separated from Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe says, there is a Talmud. The Talmud quotes the pasuk. The Gemara quotes the pasuk, a verse that says that what does God want from us? Moses is saying this. What does God want from us, each and every Jew? Not much. All he wants is to fear Hashem. So the Talmud asks a question. To fear Hashem, it sounds like Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, Moses is saying that this is a small thing, not much. Is it so? Is it a small thing to fear God? I mean, we know that it's not easy. To get to the level of fear Hashem, one needs to contemplate on the greatness of Hashem. And we know we have a physical life, a material life, and it's not easy to achieve this level. So what is the answer the Talmud gives? That, from Moshe Rabbeinu, from Moses, it's a small thing. That's why Moses is saying, what does Hashem want from you? All he wants is to fear God. Because for him, it's a small thing. So the Alter Rebbe is asking the obvious question. This doesn't answer the question. Moses is talking to all of us. It's like it's going to have an appeal, and Bill Gates is going to come in and will say, I don't want much from you. Each one of you just give us $10 million, and we'll get together. We'll do it. And you're talking about simple people who don't have the money, cannot pay the mortgage. $10 million for Bill Gates is a small thing. But Hashem, Moshe Rabbeinu is talking to each and every one of us and says, for us, it's a small thing. So the Alter Rebbe is going to answer that when we're saying that for Moses, it's a small thing, what we're saying is that for Moses, there is a Moses in each and every one of us. there is a Moses, and he's going to explain what the neshama of Moses is all about, the soul of Moses. And it shines in each and every one of us, and especially in the tzaddikim. There is a spark of the neshama of Moses in the special righteous people in each generation. So let's see it inside. So the Alter Rebbe, Yuvanetev Mashakosu Begemore al Posuk ve'ato Yisrael mo Hashem Elokecha shoyel me'imoch ki im le'yiro es Hashem Elokecha otu yira milse zutrasi. Based on the explanation of what we just learned, one will clearly understand the Talmudic comment on the verse. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? Only that you fear the Lord your God. The Gemara asks, is fear then such a small thing? What is the answer the Gemara says? Yes. L'gabe Moshe milse zutasehi. In the case of Moses, it is a small thing, v'chulu and so forth. So the Alter Rebbe asks, at first glance, the answer of the Gemara is incomprehensible. What kind of answer is this? For the verse asks, what does he require of you? It doesn't say what does he require in general, which would say the cry of Moses. It requires of every single Jew. And Alter Rebbe goes on to explain Elohim, the explanation, however, is as follows. Ki kol nefesh ve'nefesh mi beis Yisrael yesh bo mibchinas Moshe Rabbeinu olav hasholem. Each and every soul of the house of Israel comprises within it something of the quality of our teacher Moses. Ki hu meshiva roim. Teacher Moses, olav hasholem, peace unto him, because he is one of the 7 shepherds. There are 7 shepherds. The Talmud tells us about the 7 shepherds. It says in the Zohar, a little different. Who are the 7 shepherds? And Moses, in either one, Moses is mentioned. In the Zohar it says Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, and David. So Moses is one of the 7 shepherds. Now, when we're talking about shepherds, we're not just talking about Jewish leaders. A shepherd is one who feeds the flock. And each and every one of these shepherds, of these tzaddikim, of these righteous people, they feed the neshamas. They have such souls that are connected to Hashem in a certain way. And what their soul possesses, what shines in their soul, goes to each and every Jew. Says the Alter Rebbe, "Mamshichim chayus velikus liklolus nishmes Yisrael, shelochei nikroim b'shem roim." They cause vitality and godliness to flow to the community of the souls of Israel, for which reason they are called shepherds. So we mentioned about 7 shepherds. Now, Moses is unique among those 7 shepherds. Why is he unique? Because he represents the level of da'at, the level of knowledge, as we'll soon explain. Moshe Rabbeinu olav hasholem uklolus kulam v'nikro raya mehem. Our teacher Moses, peace unto him, he comprises aspects of them all, and he's called the faithful shepherd. This means that he draws down the quality of da'at. Da'at means knowledge. The quality of da'at to the community of Israel, that they may know and be cognizant of God so that for them, godliness will be self-evident and experienced by every Jew. Now, when we're saying to know Hashem, what does it mean to know? There is the story of when the Alter Rebbe went to learn at his holy Rebbe, and he came back home, and his father-in-law asked him, why did he have to travel so far to study? Don't we have yeshivas right nearby? And he told him that I learned that there is a God. That's what I went to study. So the father-in-law turns to the Jewish maid that was there, and he asks her, tell me, is there a God? And she says, of course there is a God. He says, okay, she says, she knows that there is a God. She says there's a God. So the Alter Rebbe says, she says, but I know. What does it mean, knowing? Then knowing means connecting. It is as if something that you see in front of your eyes. It is a reality that you experience. To really feel the experience and connect with what you see, it's not an easy thing. So it says, Alter Rebbe, Kol echad kefi yasogas nishmasoi v'sharoshe l'mayla, each according to the intellectual capacity of his soul and root above, v'nikasa mishirish nishmas Moshe Rabbeinu olav hashalom, and according to the degree of its nurture from the root of the soul of our teacher Moses. Amushreshes bedas elyon shebeyud sfiras da'atzilus. Our teacher Moses, peace upon him, which is his neshama, is rooted in the data elyon, the supernal knowledge of the 10 sephiros of Atzilus, which are united with their emanator. So this we explained many times, that there are different levels, the different worlds. The world of Atzilus is the world where godliness is revealed. And the neshama of Moses comes straight from the world of Atzilus, and more specifically, it is rooted in the level of das, the level of knowledge, the knowledge that connects the intellect with the emotions of Atzilus, where in Atzilus, God is one with the attributes of Atzilus. And that is why in the Torah it says, there's a number, the Zohar quotes, says there's a number of people that are mentioned in the Torah, the names is mentioned twice, like Avram, but by Moshe it says Moshe. By all the other names that is mentioned, there is a separation between the names, because there is Avram the way he's in the higher world, and there is Avram the way he is in this physical world. There is a source of his soul in the higher world, and there is the way he is here. By Moshe, that the Zohar says, Moshe loy psik taima begavai. There is nothing that separates, there's no separation between the Moshe of above and the Moshe of below, which means that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, had his powerful godly soul affected it shone while he was in a physical body in the same way the way it shone above him in the higher spiritual worlds. That's how holy Moses was. And in that world of Atzilus, it is one with Hashem. Shehu v'daitei echad v'hu amada. He's connected with the dat of Atzilus, and he and his knowledge are one. V'hu amada chulu, as he is the knowledge. So that means that Moshe Rabbeinu, his neshama, now shines in each and every Jew. There is a shine, there is a reflection that means deep inside of the neshama of every Jew there is something that does, the knowledge of Hashem, but this is hidden. So this is one part of this story. Then says the Alter Rebbe, there's a second part of the story. And that is that in every generation, there is the spark of the neshama that goes into the body and soul of the leaders of the generation. Now, when we're talking about the spark of the neshama, it's not like what we said before, that the neshama of Moshe shines in every Jew. A spark is like the fire itself. A spark is not just a shine; it is the fire itself that goes into every generation into very unique spiritual leaders. And this is why these leaders, when they teach the Torah, when they teach us about God, it is not just the intellectual part that they will learn from them. There's many, many Rosh Yeshivas and rabbis that can teach you Torah. But not all of them have the actual neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, a spark of the neshama of Moses. There are those special, unique leaders in each generation that have that spark of Moshe Rabbeinu. And that is among Chasidim, as we mentioned before, they glaze at the Rebbe, because the holiness of the neshama is in the Rebbe. As a matter of fact, there's some Chasidim, there's some great holy tzaddikim, that they didn't really, they were not about teaching. They were just serving Hashem. People were there, and they would be inspired from the holiness. They would gain the holiness from the tzaddik. So, in every generation, we have this Moses of the generation. Of course, our generation, we have the Rebbe. Says the Alter Rebbe, "Void yeser al kein becholtoi v'dor yoyir dim nitzoitzim nishmas Moshe Rabbeinu olav hashalom u'mislapshim beguf v'nefesh shel chachmei adoyer einei ha'edem." In addition and beyond this, pervasive influence to the community as a whole. There descends in every generation sparks from the soul of our teacher Moses, peace unto him, and they clothe themselves in the body and soul of the sages of that generation. They are called the eyes of the generation. The Lamed Das is Sa'om Veleida Gedulas Hashem of the Belev Nefesh. To impart knowledge to the people, that they may know the greatness of God, and hence serve Him with heart and soul. Because the service of the heart, meaning one's love and fear of Hashem, is according to the das, and according to the knowledge, according to one's degree of knowledge and understanding of God's greatness. As it is written, know the God of your father, and serve him with all your heart and with a longing soul. Only concerning the future in the Messianic era, it is written, and they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know God, for they shall all know me. In the time of Mashiach, God will be revealed. And now the Alter Rebbe explains what is the knowledge of Hashem. Knowledge of Hashem doesn't mean to study and to understand intellectually. Says the Alter Rebbe, no. There's two types of understanding. There is the understanding intellectually. That is something that doesn't take. And each person, according to his intellectual level, you understand, but once you understand, you get it. Teach a child that 2 + 2 = 4. So once he gets it, that's it, he knows it. You teach someone about Hashem, about God, about different levels. There is knowledge that you gain and you understand. But this is not really knowing. He says the knowledge, or what we are talking about over here, it means connecting. When you focus on a concept, that even after you understood, you should focus on the idea. And that is something which is not easy. Try to think about a certain concept, not to think about anything else. Even for 10 seconds, it's not easy. And one of the things in Chassidus is they train us to think about the greatness of Hashem and to meditate about this thing until it becomes connected with you. It becomes part of you. That's what the Rebbe says here. However, the essence of knowledge, which leads one to serve God with his whole soul and heart, is not mere knowing alone, that people should know the greatness of God from authors, the sages and spiritual guides and books. But the essential thing is to immerse one's own mind deeply into those things which explain the greatness of God and fix one's thought on God with strength and vigor of the heart and mind. Until his thought shall be bound to God with a strong and mighty bond, as it is bound to a material thing, which he sees with his physical eyes, and upon which he concentrates his thoughts. So obviously, if something physical, when you see something, you have no problem. You saw it, that's it. And you connected to it. But even when you see something with the physical eyes, there's also different levels of connecting. You can, for example, you look around, you see a picture. You look at a picture, look at a painting. You can sort of say, oh, nice, beautiful painting. But then you can look and gaze at the painting. And you can connect and you can see, what does the painting tell us? What is the message? What is the artist trying to convey? This is a deeper connection, and this is the das, connecting deeper and stronger. So just like when you see a physical thing, and this is something that you see and connects you physically, the same thing is das, the knowledge of Hashem, is to connect to what you know, to what you understand, to connect to it, as if this is something physical that you see. Where it is known that connotes union, as in the verse, and Adam, Yoda, Chava, Adam knew Eve, and knowing there connotes the connecting. So now we're going to continue with today's lesson, the 25th of Nisan. Continues the Alter Rebbe and says that we said that one thing, we have the ability to connect to Hashem in that way because we have in us, we nourish from the soul of Moses. Moses was able to really see it. And we are able to connect to it because we have this deep in our soul. In addition, we said we have the leaders of the generations that we follow, that they teach us and they help us to reveal us within us this knowledge in Hashem. And number 3, the Alter Rebbe says that the main focus is that we have to work on it ourselves. We have to dig and find this fear of God that is hiding deep in us, inside of us. The Alter Rebbe v'koyach ze'u midazu l'kasher daitoi b'Hashem yesh b'chol nefesh m'beis Yisrael. This capacity And this quality of attaching one's da'at to God, so that he not only understands, but also feels godliness, and so becomes wholly united with him. This is present in every soul of the house of Israel. How? B'yinikosam min nishmas Moshe Rabbeinu olav hashalom, by virtue of its nurture from the soul of our teacher Moses, peace unto him. However, so continues the Alter Rebbe, being that we live in a physical body, and the physical reality conceals any spiritual sensation and the spiritual feelings. So we need to work hard, and the Alter Rebbe says there's a double work that we need to do. It is working by removing the concealment of the body, and working on the soul should be able to reveal itself more. What does that mean? So we'll explain soon. It says, Alter Rebbe, רק מאחר שנסלבשו הנפש בגוף, צריכו להגיע רבו עצמו כפולו ומכופץ. Only since the soul has clothed itself in the body, it needs a great and mighty exertion, doubled and redoubled, in order to feel and to be attached to God. It says, while it is true that the soul has its capacity, a hint of its being nurtured from the soul of Moses, for were the soul lacking this capacity, then even the greatest effort would be of no avail. For how can a created being possibly comprehend and feel its creator? How can a soul enclosed in a body feel and be bound to godliness? Nevertheless, even after possessing this capacity that we get from Moshe, it requires a prodigious effort to actually comprehend and feel godliness. And what is it? It says, Alachas yegias boso levatesh esaguf uleachniyoi shelo yachshich al oir nefesh. First, the first way of working to reveal this fear of God, this innate love and fear that we have in us, the first, now we're talking about the fear. First is the exertion of the flesh. What does it mean, the exertion of the flesh? To throw off the bodily shackles, to pound the body, meaning to weaken its corporality and gain its submission, so that it shall not obscure the light of the soul, thus making it possible for one to understand and feel godliness. So what does it mean to pound the body? You have to really crush the body physically. We're not talking about the physical body. Of course, a person has to be healthy. He has to eat and sleep and exercise and do everything to be healthy. We're talking about the perception of the body, the ego, which is this is what the body is all about, selfish. And to realize that the selfishness is in total opposition to godliness. Godliness is about complete nullification to Hashem, that everything is God. When a person feels himself a self-existing entity, and looking and seeking for self, that needs to be crushed. That needs to be, one needs to realize that that selfishness conceals the godliness. Commission is by the gufa de loisolik bene oire den shmosen evatchinle, as has been mentioned above in the name of the Zoya, that a body into which the light of the soul does not penetrate should be crushed. And again, we're talking about The ego should be crushed. We're not talking about the actual body. Actual body is something that is important for us to keep well, because as the Maggid of Mezlich used to say, a little hole in the body is a big hole in the soul. But the ego needs to be crushed. How do you crush it? Says the Alter Rebbe, this being accomplished by means of penitential reflections, when a person does teshuvah and reflects from the depth of the heart. As is explained there, there's different levels of a person regretting the not good things that a person did. When you feel something deep, a deep teshuvah, there's many different levels. So this is step number one. And step number two, says the Alter Rebbe, is exerting the soul of revealing the godliness. What does that mean? Is what we said before. The knowledge, the meditation, the contemplation, the understanding, and deeply thinking about the true reality, which is the reality of Hashem, that God is here. God is the true existence, the true reality. And of course, in order to do that, you have to study. You have to have the material, what to think about. But even after you understand, you have to meditate and think about this concept. This is Yegiyas HaNefesh, the exertion of the soul. Hashem says that by Yegiyas HaNefesh, shelo tichbado le'avodo le'ageya machshavto le'hamik u'le'izboin migdulas Hashem shor gdoyle v'utzufa. And the second is the exertion of the soul to reveal the powers of the soul. That is, that the service of exerting one's thought not be burdensome to it, to delve into and reflect upon the greatness of Hashem for a long and uninterrupted period. For this measure of time necessary to immerse oneself in a godly concept in order to arouse love and fear of God is not the same for every soul. Some people require more time, others less. Meaning the time that you think and meditate and then you get to feelings, yes, I understand it and I feel it, and it gets me to fear the feeling of love and of Hashem. Some people have a high level neshama. They think a little bit and they meditate a little bit, and right away they get excited about it and they get connected to it. And that is because of the level where the soul comes from. And also it is not affected by sins, because sins also cause a blockage, that we become desensitized to godliness. Says the Alter Rebbe, Yesh nefesh zako betivo, shemiyad shemizbeinenes begdulas Hashem, yagia eleo ayiro pachad Hashem. There is naturally refined soul, which immediately upon considering the greatness of God, it attains a fear and dread of Him. As it is written in Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, on Orach Chaim, section 1, that when a person reflects that a great king, the supreme king of kings, the Holy One, blessed be He, Hashem Eloi kol oretz kevoidoi, when a person thinks about the great king of Hashem, blessed be He, with whose glory the whole world is filled, he stands over him and sees his action. It will immediately be overcome with fear of Hashem, the awe of Hashem. If you think about the Hashem, the master of the universe, is right there, standing there, watching you. He's waiting for you, waiting to see you doing the mitzvah. So you get the dread and fear of Hashem, not in a negative way. It's in a way of a deep awe of Hashem. And you fear not to do anything against Hashem. You want to be connected with God. So that some people are, right, all it takes is a little meditation. Then there is a soul that is of lowly nature and origin coming from the lower gradations in the 10 spheres of Asiya. That's the Asiya. Asiya is the lowest world. And some neshamas went down to a very low level. And it is unable to discover godliness by contemplation except with difficulty and forceful insistence. And especially, says the Alter Rebbe, especially if the soul is not only of a lowly nature, but in addition, it has been defiled by the sin of youth. Because one's sins interpose between a Jew and God. So the sins cause a separation. As it is written in Sefer Hasidim, chapter 35. But, says the Alter Rebbe, nevertheless, regardless of the level of the person, regardless of how many sins the person did, Alter Rebbe says, when you insist and you keep going, you are sure to find it. Nevertheless, with difficulty and with forceful effort, when his thoughts greatly exert itself with vigor and great toil and intense concentration, immersing himself in contemplation of the greatness of God for a long time, they will certainly come to him at least the lower level fear referred to above, meaning enough to prevent him from doing something which is opposed to God's will. And as our sages have said, if a man says, I have labored and I have found, believe him. If he says, I have labored and I have not found, don't believe him. And it is also written, with regard to the success one achieves when he labors to attain the fear of God, it says, if you seek it like money and search it as forbidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of God. What does it mean? It says the Alter Rebbe, when you search for something, for a treasure, you work hard, but sometimes you get tired, you stop looking. So maybe it's not there. But let's say if you know for sure that the treasure is there, you're not going to get tired. You keep looking. So when you look for your own fear of Hashem, when you search within yourself the fear of God by contemplating of Hashem, the greatness of Hashem, says the Alter Rebbe, no matter how many blockages you need to uncover, you need to remove the blockages, you're sure to find the treasure. You're sure to find the fear of Hashem in your heart. Said the Alter Rebbe Pirush, ken derech shemechapes od matmein ve'oitzer atomim betachtiei haaretz shechifer achrav beyigia atzuma. This means in manner of a person seeking a hidden treasure buried in the depth of the earth, for which he digs with tireless toil. Why? For he knows that it is surely buried there. If you know for sure, you're not going to get tired. כך צריך לחפור בהגיע עצמו לגלס אויצר של יראת שמיים. So must one delve with unflagging energy in order to reveal the treasure of the fear of heaven, which lies buried and concealed in the understanding of the heart of every Jewish individual. This understanding of the heart being of a quality and level transcending limitations of time. Hence, it cannot be said that during a particular time this treasure is lacking and unattainable. And this is the natural hidden fear referred to above that is in every single Jew. However, in order that it should be translated into action, in the sense of fear of sin, so that one will turn away from evil in deed, word, and thought. One needs to bring it to light from the hidden depth of the understanding of the heart, where it transcends time, and to place it within the realm of actual thought that is in the brain. And again, this means immersing his thought in it for a lengthy period of time, until its effect will emerge from the potential into the actual, so that it affects the soul and body of man. So that he will turn away from evil and do good in thought, speech, and action. Because of God, who looks and seeks, hears and listens, perceives all his deeds, and searches his kidneys and heart, knows everything. As our sages say in the Ethics of the Fathers, it says, as the rabbis of blessed memory said, reflect upon three things, and you will not come to sin. Know what is above you, an eye that sees, an ear that hears, and so on. So this is the end of today's shir. Beautiful lesson. We see the power of the neshama. We see the power of the tzaddikim, the true righteous people. They have the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu. They see it. The Friedrich Rebbe once explained the difference between us, a regular person understanding, and a tzaddik the way he sees things. So he describes it. Sometimes you have people trying to copy an artist. When you see an artist taking a canvas, sometimes they have also different tutorials how to make a painting. Let's say draw a line over here, make a circle over here, square over there, and slowly but surely you get the picture. So when the average person draws lines, he sees a line here, sees a line there. But the artist doesn't see it that way. The artist sees the art. And the line comes as if by itself, coming out and revealing the lines of the main picture, what the picture reflects. So this is the way when we study the knowledge of Hashem. We have a little piece over here, a little piece over there. But the tzaddik, he sees God and he feels God and in everything. And that is why what the tzaddik teaches us when we learn from the tzaddik. So first of all, obviously, the words that he says are truth. Unlike a regular rabbis who can make mistake. It's not Torah Semes, not necessarily Torah Semes. Sometimes a person says and something is wrong. But then when a tzaddik says something, it is the Torah of truth. But in addition, every act of the tzaddik, every movement of the tzaddik represents godliness. That is why you gaze at the tzaddik. Obviously, that's not everything. As the Alter Rebbe just said in this chapter, you have to make sure to work on your own. The tzaddik only helps you to reveal your own yiras Hashem, the fear of Hashem that lies deep in your heart. Look for it, you'll find it. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow, Mezat Hashem.